my people, what's going on? You're listening to the Triggered Thoughts podcast. And I got my people in the building. But first off, let me start off by saying I go by the name Verbz. And my other host number one goes by the name of
Geniusdan.
How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? You right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, bro, man. Stop looking at the phone, man. Enough of that, mate.
What's that doing?
Looking at your phone, blood.
No, I was just doing some updates. Let's just put it down. I was just doing some updates.
All right.
But we good.
That's good. You ready for the episode? Energy, yeah? All right, then. So, people, my host number 2 goes by the name of...
Yeah, it's 4.
Well, go on, creative.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah? You ready for the episode today?
Yeah, I'm good. Yes, I'm ready. I'm raring to go.
Good. Alright, so people, listeners, hope you're all good, man. Hope everything's been fine. You know, we've had a bit of wet weather recently. I don't know, has it been like that in London, yeah?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, hopefully you're wrapping up warm in the yard, jamming, get me, with whatever gadget you got, and prepared to listen to our episode of the Triggered Thoughts podcast. So the topic today, yeah, is, should people be judged for their past actions? I'm going to pass the baton on,
Or past sins.
Or past sins. So, listeners, I'm going to pass the baton on to Geniusdan and let him run with it and give you an explanation and breakdown on how this episode is going to go and his views. Take it away, Genius.
Yes. This is a sensitive one, people. One that's quite dear to my heart. We live in a time where people are very judgmental. They judge everything. The way you look, the way you sound, what you talk about. People perceive people differently, that's what I mean. And the thing is, you know, this particular subject is one I wanted to touch on for a long time. And I've seen things, I've observed certain things, you know, whilst being in the midst of people, whether it be friends, family, acquaintances, you name it. And there will come a time in individuals' lives where they will go through a transformation, they'll go through a change. And that change will sometimes be noticeable by people that they used to associate with or people that's always been around their surroundings. And, you know, you might be known to be a bad man, or you might be known to be a thief or a gallus or someone that was bad mind, you name it, different category of people. But there comes a time where maybe one day, not everyone, but there comes a time where that person decides to change. And when that person decides to change, they decide to change for the better, meaning that they no longer do what they used to do. Now, if someone has known that person to do like an atrocity or do a violation, so let's say 15, 20 years of his life, and he decides to change the next day, do we have the right to judge and hold that man or woman accountable for what they did 15, 20 years ago? Yes or no? It's a question I'm putting out there to everyone, but also to Verbz and Creative Thoughts.
Creative, you want to go first?
No, I think that they don't, if you wake up today and you decide, okay, I want to be a different person, especially if you've gone to church and you've got, you know, you've given your life to God. Jesus already tells us that once you give your life to him, that you're a new person. So if you're someone that believes in God and from that background, then you already know it doesn't matter what the world perceives you as, you're changed. Nobody's perfect anyway. We all make mistakes. And I think that if that person generally is like, I'm sorry, I've changed, then yes. But or even in that circumstance, you've also got to understand, listen for the person that's saying that they're changed, that although you're changing or choosing to change, people that you've hurt, it still might take time for them to believe it, or, you know, so that there will be a process. People will have to get reintroduced to the new you. So it, you know, I guess there's got to be leeway on both sides. You've got to allow them to heal as well as you kind of knowing that you've changed and accepting that and not allowing judgment to come your way, but at the same time accepting that other people might need to get past that within themselves, that you've changed, you know. Especially if you've been domestically.
Very well said.
Yeah.
You happy with that, Genius?
Yeah, that's good.
Good, yeah. For me, you know, it depends on what they've done, innit? You get what I mean? That's how I see it. Like, you know, I think Creative brought up some good pointers in saying, you know, especially focusing on other people, like the people that may have been affected or impacted by what you may have done, if you get what I'm saying. Giving them time and stuff, but some things probably I'd say some people just can't get over. Like, do you know what I mean? For instance, if you've done something like, you know, just taking it to a different level, murdering somebody's family member or something like that. Some people with faith can forgive that. You know what I mean? There's some people with faith that can't forgive that. But at the same time, I think the average person really and truly ain't trying to forgive that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if it's something along them levels, you know, I think it doesn't really matter. You can try and change for the better of yourself, but you have to know that you're doing it for yourself. Yeah. And you doing it for yourself doesn't necessarily mean that others that are observing are gonna follow and believe in you changing. There's a chance they can still just see you for you.
Wise words.
Yeah, you know.
You know, I was going to say as well, like you both touched on something in terms of depending on what the person's done. And I'll give you a prime example. Pedophiles. Now, that's a big violation, you know what I mean? And boy...
That's a mazza, blood.
You know, and especially if the person has done it to one of your family members, because you get family members that trouble their own children, vice versa, do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, only, you know, God is the ultimate judge at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? And he will dish out the punishment as he sees fit. And it might not always be in the land of the living, it might be after, you know, the hereafter. But at the same time, you know, even this holding people accountable for their past sins, it's a tough one, man, because once again, there's different circumstances, and there's some things that people would deem as unforgivable. This what I mean, like you rightfully said, Verbz. If you murder someone's relative, murder someone's child, then there's the paedophilia thing. This what I mean, and then there's, you know, people that do the hit and run. There's so many different scenarios. This what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
And everybody reacts differently to different things. So, you know, it's hard because obviously forgiveness is important, does that I mean? Especially not so much for the person that's obviously done what they've done, but so much more for yourself, because unforgiveness brings illness. It brings sickness, does that I mean? Not only mental sickness, physical sickness, does that I mean? And it can lead to a terminal end. Does that I mean? So I feel that depending on what the person's done, I believe, you know, even if people struggle or they want to, but they don't know how to, I reckon even counseling might even have to be something that might need to be something that they might need to seek, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree with what you're saying there still. Do you get me? But I don't know, I just think, you know what? Like I said, with faith and stuff, people will more have the spiritual strength and guidance to be able to forgive, but still, even with faith, certain things people can't forgive. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I don't know, I think even me, I don't necessarily go church like that, but I'm quite a God-fearing person. I believe in God and stuff and doing right rather than wrong. But at the same time, I think things like paedophilia, if somebody was whether it's a family member, some kind of close one, a complete stranger, if somebody had, did some paedophilic act towards any child of mine or family member or something like that, I know what you're saying about the terminal illness and stuff like that, and whatever not, but that's just something that, I don't know, I just don't think I can bring myself to forgive even with mad amounts of counselling. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Also, I think we've got to understand that wisdom is everything. Just because you forgive somebody or you've accepted them, the circumstances doesn't mean that you need to be around them, doesn't mean that you need to, spend time with them, doesn't mean they have to, be in your circle, but just for your own inner, relief and space, just to accept that it's happened and kind of like move on in that way. It's still a good thing.
I get that. No, I agree with you. I do get that theory, and I think that's a better way for you to find some sort of peace and solace. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in being able to move on as much as you can. But I don't know, even though you're not around that person, you're more than likely going to be around the person that, for me, the person that's a victim. And I know we all know the theory, hurt people, right? So somebody that does something like that, somebody that does something like that didn't necessarily just wake up or existed and decided this is what I'm going to do. Something's happened to them that's rewired their shit, if you know what I'm saying, down the line, and now they're doing madness to, I don't know, feel powerful or feel in control. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if my child, let's just say, is the victim, and now I have to deal with the traumatic impact and damage of what that child gone through at the hands of you, it's just a very difficult thing for me to be able to forgive, man.
Yeah.
Let's pose a question then. So say it was your actual child then that had done something that was unforgivable. How would you respond? How would you go about that then? Because sometimes it's not even, you've got family that's close to you, but sometimes it's the children that you pushed out or that you bared. So how do you handle that? What would you say to somebody?
I'm not a man, yeah. One thing I would say to you, my principles and morals are very strong. I'm not a man that bangs the drum for certain people and then plays the guitar for others. Do you know what I'm saying? Wrong is wrong. If you do a madness with you or my child, mate, I'm going to have to deal with you a certain way. And if it means locking you off because you done something immoral, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't condone that. I can't be sitting there and making excuses for you because you're my child out of love or whatever. I can't do it. I know some people that, I'll give you an example. I know some people that are, this is just a different thing, but I'll give you an example. I know some people that are quick to call the average woman that moves promiscuous hoes and stuff like that. All those kind of words, yeah? But when their family members are the ones that's doing it, there's an excuse. If you can label a woman outside a hoe, and your family member is doing exactly the same thing, and you know there's no difference, you just got to call a spade, mate. That's how I see it, do you get me? So although it's my child, I might try and reason with you a little bit, but you've done a mad deed that I can't respect, man, principally and morally. I can't do it. You get me?
I've got another question. This is a good one. What if the person that has done the atrocity pays for what they've done by a prison sentence? Now imagine this person served time, depending on what it is, they've served time. They've paid for their actions, which mean they may have done 20 years. They've had to go through some form of punishment based on their past actions that they did at the time. What then? Because, you have some people, they're like, okay, you know what? I'll give you a prime example. There are some people, they did stuff when they were in their early teens. Yeah? They did stuff when they were young.
Yeah.
Now, it's unfortunate that the stuff that they did when they were 15, 16, 18, that what they did at that time when they were young and immature, they're now in their adult age now, and based on what they did when they were young, they are now still being penalized for it now in their older age. Meaning, I'll give you an example, people that are now going for certain jobs, they're now being tarnished based on something that they did when they were like 15, 20 years ago. Prime example, now you have some people, they've been done for driving offences, speeding, maybe even hit and run, not justifying any of those things. But this person has done, just say they've done some considerable time in prison, and they've come out and said, you know what, I've paid my debt now, I've been punished for that, I'm reformed. Why am I now being held accountable for something that I did and I've served my time? That's not right. So, and I'll give you another example. You have some people, they've come out of prison. Some people reform, some don't. They end up worse. But the ones that end up being reformed, they come out, they're no longer that person that they were prior to going in. They've completely changed, and you can see there's an evidence of change. Now, that person now goes to a job interview, and the interview's going really well. Smash the interview. Now the question is, do you have any criminal convictions? The minute now you say yes to that, all that phenomenal interview that you did is gone out the window now. Now they're judging you based on what happened in the past. Is that right? So now you have, and I'm talking from even people that I know personally that I've spoken to, and they're like, "Rah, I've come out. Imagine I've come out. I've paid. I've done 15 years for whatever I've done. I've come out now, and I'm trying to find work, but I'm still being tarnished. What's the point? I might as well just go back to a life of crime then. But what's the point in working? Because if you're now still holding me accountable to something that I've done my time. I've done that. Even at the time of me being incarcerated, I've managed to do my exams. I've managed to upskill. I've done this course. I've done these programs. Does that mean? So it's a hard one, man. Because as I said before, I see this daily, man, and I think to myself like, wow. I know the government introduced something called where they say now you don't have to declare stuff that you did in your previously. Now I think they're looking at maybe wiping it. Does that what I mean?
That's nonsense, bruv.
Did you not hear about it?
They might be trying to do that, but the DBS is very in depth, bruv. It picks up almost everything in it, so they could say that.
Well, that's why they're talking about wiping that. Yeah,
through the DBS, yeah.
Yeah. So it means that certain things that you did won't come up. Does that what I mean?
Okay, that's fair enough. Go on, go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, like I've loved what you said, Verbz, and what Creative said, and it's true, because at the same time we can't be hypocritical, because I can tell when I said, oh yeah, forgive, but then if something happens which I deem unforgivable, because you've got to remember as well, everybody's level of unforgivable is different. What you might deem as unforgivable, I might look at it as rather some manner. You have some people, they deem the smallest of things unforgivable. You're like, rah, how you like that? But you can't really judge them, because their mindset is different. What their level of standards of what they deem as unforgivable might be different from what you view. Does that what I mean? So this is where it becomes a very That's
usually people that's been hurt before, right? They got some kind of PTSD with certain things. You know what I mean?
And even now that you've touched on that, how does someone like that heal? Because you imagine you've gone through a situation now and you're trying to heal from that, but time now you want to make a step forward, now you're now having to deal with the repercussions of the previous actions that you've done, or even come to face with a person that you've obviously done wrong, and you're constantly reminded every time you see that person. So it's a good one, man. And I've actually been on obviously been on YouTube, and it's crazy. I see how certain people just tarnish people, man. And like, once again, this is the reason I wanted to touch on this as well, people, as well, is you have to be very careful what you tell people, man. You have to be so careful, man, because this thing on judging people, we're not going off the subject here, but this thing on judging people on past actions, yeah, you have some people that they're actually giving back to society, or they've changed their life, but you have some people, yeah, that will think it's acceptable to openly expose these people using social media platforms, and I think that's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible. And I feel that there should be consequences for stuff like that legally, through the proper procedure, because when you can put someone on blast on social media for the whole world to see, and that person is no longer that person that they used to be, it's a serious thing, people, because then what you do now is open up another kind of worms for now other people to start judging them. People that, and bearing in mind, these are people that might not even know the person, but because based on what you've said now, you now have additional people jumping on the bandwagon and now forming their opinion, and now starting to judge and comment on things that they have no knowledge or understanding of. Do you know what I mean?
My God!
And for me personally, I reckon that there needs to be examples made of such people, meaning that, do you know what I mean? Like there's lawsuits, do you know what I mean? Because when you defame, defamation of character is a serious thing, man. I've heard of, even from the last 2 years, I've heard of people that actually end up taking their life because of stuff like this. Do you know what I mean?
100%, bro. 100%, you're right.
Verbz, you have some people, yeah, that they're not strong mentally. And you have some people, yeah, they don't like embarrassment. So imagine now you've just been put on blast on a platform. And even worse, if this person is someone that has a large following. And then all of a sudden now, because remember, you got this thing. Back in my days, Verbz, there was none of this. Screenshot never used to have. There was no such thing as screenshot back in my days. When they used to have, remember the Ericsson and the Motorola Flares and the one-to-one.
Yeah,
remember the one-to-one flip? Mm. Yeah, the little Nokias. Yeah, there was none of this screenshotting and screen recording, and yeah, this I call this the clout generation. People are willing to do and exploit people in the name of views and likes. It's a sad generation. Sad generation. You see what I mean? When you can stoop so low, man, and no part of your conscience, no part of your own conscience, thinks to yourself like, "Rah, I myself, I'm not completely innocent. I've done stuff, but yet here I am now, judging someone else and putting them on open blast. Like, what gives you the right?"
And that's the thing. A lot of people tend to. Sorry to cut you there, Genius.
No, go on, Cuz.
That's the thing. A lot of people tend to do that, make judgment. Do you know what I mean? And avoid looking in the mirror, if you get what I'm saying. But when you sit back and if you know people that do things like that, if you get what I'm saying, like everybody's got a past, mate. So if everybody's got a past, you have to kind of be careful in how you're throwing stuff out about people. You get me? Because you got stuff too, and karma's a strong one, bruv. Like, something, it doesn't need to be the person that you're going at that needs to come at you. It just might come around from somewhere else. So you got to live good with people and handle things correctly.
My God!
Yes, it's spot on, man. Spot on. And I feel, and this is another thing, this is what that really winds me up. You see these platforms like YouTube and Instagram, they're very biased, because this thing called bullying and harassment is a very serious thing, man. You got this thing called online bullying, online trolling, where you have some people that will do these things, call people out, and there's clear evidence of what they're doing, but yet platforms like YouTube won't take it down. But then if I now decide to talk on the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, which I've done before, I put up videos, factual videos, which is not no conspiracy theories, factual stuff, which is out there in the public domain for everyone to see, but then I get striped. I get an email from YouTube saying that your video, you have violated our community guidelines because what you've done is classed as cyberbullying, harassment, and then you take down the video. But you don't have that same, but you don't have that same attitude towards someone that's out there putting someone else on, constantly harassing and stalking someone, but you don't remove the videos. I think that's double standards, man.
You're fucking,
you know what I mean?
you're fucking with the powers that be. That's why, innit? So the ordinary citizens, as far as all these, these platforms that are run by or controlled by elites, yeah, they don't care about the average citizen and their feelings and what they go through personally.
That's true,
yeah, even though they haven't got the resources, if they were being cyberbullied or trolled, they more than likely haven't got the resources to, access services and get themselves mentally past that. But the powers that be have, but yet you protect the powers that be and leave the vulnerable to sink.
It's true.
What do you think, Creative?
I agree, to be honest. I agree with what you guys have said. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Go on, Genius.
Yeah, so I feel, if you're someone out there that is okay with putting people on blast, judging people based on stuff that they've done previously, and you yourself know that this is stuff that they've done in the past, you have to really look at yourself and look at what have you done. How would you feel if you was on the receiving end? If someone decides to do the very thing that you're doing to someone else. Because that's how we have to, if we're honest, Verbz, if we really lived our lives where we treat people the way we like to be treated, or we deal with people the way we'd like to be dealt, I'm telling you, this world would be a different place, man. Because the reality is, if you know that you wouldn't like something done to you, why do it to someone else, if that makes sense?
100%.
My God!
I totally agree with
you. I mean, and for me, this is my philosophy. For me, even when I was in banking, and there were times when I was working and I was a customer myself for the same bank that I used to work for. So I'd go in and I'd be like a little mini mystery shopper, and then I'll go in and I'll see certain things like, oh wow, like. Obviously, doing the job myself, and I could see inconsistencies or stuff that's not right. And I think to myself, look at that, And there's such thing, people, as well. There's such thing of judging rightly, yeah? Because there's different judgment. There's judging with the intention of ridiculing or trying to put someone, like trying to find fault in people. But there's a right judgment where, you're judging, but that kind of judgment is based on truth and not hypocrisy, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Judging right. But then at the same time, when you judge someone, you got to make sure when you're judging them, you're not doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us we like to point fingers, but then the same finger that we're pointing, that same finger's pointing back at us. Why? Because we know bloody better.
But are you always judging right? Because how do you not know that person might have a bad day that day, or something might have happened? And
that's true.
You still kind of conduct yourself in a certain manner, but maybe they can't, they've just lost it, it's a bit too much. Then you come in and you're like, this kind of behavior. So sometimes we could be judging incorrectly, even though we think we're judging right.
Yeah, it's true. And I think this is why I think certain times we just have to be careful and use wisdom and discernment and know, this is what I mean, because it could go, like you rightfully said, people have bad days and sometimes they're out of character, they do things, and some of them, they're like, I do apologize, I've had a ratty morning and this has happened, and it's just taken me off course, But I feel that social media has a lot to answer for, man. Life was different when there was no social media. Does that mean this social media generation, and as you know, is with the advancement of AI as well, I think it's definitely responsible for the destruction of people, especially in terms of the topic that we're talking on, in terms of like holding people accountable, because the internet is filled with information. You can pull up someone's history on Google. You just type in someone's name, that's what I mean, and you can find out all their past deeds, their past sins, their past actions that they can never live out because it's stored on the internet. That's what I mean. Yeah. Information that's accessible to people globally. That's what I mean. So if you have someone that lives a poor, pathetic life where they don't have nothing better to do but troll people 24/7. No, I'm being honest, because there's people out there 24/7. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of them out there,
Because you don't have a life.
It's the way Genius speaks, because he's telling people off, but he's so calm. He's got such a gentle voice, even when he's telling people off. It makes me laugh.
Thank you. I'm touched, man. I'm touched.
That's what I'm saying. Don't spoil the flow. Do it again, though. We like that shit, blood.
My God!
Continue.
No, you from me. So yeah, as I was saying, man, like internet and information.
People that don't have a life.
Yeah, that's what you mean.
Yeah, people that do this, it's like a full-time job for people if you look at it. Really, this is what I mean.
My God!
It could get a diploma. Does that mean? But what do they say in the States? A GD or a degree. But like as much as it's
GD or something like that. Yeah.
GD in America, isn't it? But as much as it's not even funny. It's quite sad, and I feel that this is the way things are now. Does I mean? Like, it just seems that it's the way forward for a lot of people, and it's costing a lot of people their lives, because even though it's classed as online bullying, or they call it cyberbullying, you have young children that actually take their lives. Does I mean? Because you have people that will. I'll give you a prime example. What I'm talking about. You have some people here that are very vulnerable, or they might be told to do something in terms of, when I say do something, in terms of nudity, where they take a picture of themselves in, like explicit pictures. Now, being the trusting person that they are, they now share that picture to Joe Blogs. Now, Joe Blogs thinks it's funny now. Put that person on blast and circulate that picture on social media. Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like, ping. It's like that, ping. That's what I mean. And you see like...
it's true still.
I laugh, but it's not funny, because I remember, I'll share this with you as well after Verbz. I'll send you the link, but there was a young girl that actually took her life because on the basis of this person that was bullying her online consistently. And I think even it got to the point where the police started to track. And that's another thing as well, people. Don't get it twisted. You see, sometimes when you do these things, there's always a trace there's always a trail where you can be tracked and traced, depending on how serious it is. Because when you start to do this constant cyberbullying or harassment, it's like stalking, man. It's no different from stalking someone in the natural, physically. The only difference is you're doing it via the internet. And obviously, because there's no picture and you're behind the scenes, people are oblivious to who it is. Do you see what I mean?
Not the authorities, though, mate.
No, of course. You see what I mean?
And there's still people out here that actually think that if authorities is to close down on them and seize their phone and gadgets and laptops or whatever and start investigating and looking through their stuff, there's still some dickheads out here that think that if they press delete, the stuff that they've deleted can't be fucking traced, like.
Oh, I know about that. That's one of the first things I learned when I did IT. There's a way, you can still reinstate certain things. Everything is recoverable. And that's what people need to remember.
Even in the police station, if you get nicked, I saw it on a documentary one time in the Fed station, if you get nicked, they got a machine in there where they just plug your phone in and all the stuff that you've deleted and that, everything comes up, bruv. Do you get me?
That's mad. That's mad.
So when you get nicked and they put your phone in the big giant weed bag, bruv.
My God!
Don't think they ain't dug into your phone by plugging your shit into that machine, regardless of passwords and finger fucking, what you call it, phone entries and shit like that. They'll get into your shit, bruv. Don't get it twisted. So if you think like that still, you're an idiot.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And one thing I wanted to add as well, this is very, very important for all the listeners, yeah? Please, you see this topic that we're talking about, judging people on their past actions and judging people on their past sins. Be very careful what you tell people, man. Do not give people ammunition and weaponize them to a point where they can hold you accountable. They can hold something over you because of information that you have openly given to them. Because you, being the trusting person that you are, trusted that person. Because your good sense today can be
that deserves a...
Yo, what you take this thing for? You're listening to the Triggered Force podcast, blood.
Go ahead and keep the party going.
This guy, just threw me off. Remember, people, your best friend today can be your worst enemy tomorrow.
My God!
What I want people to understand and think carefully about is think about all those people that were your close friends, your day one, your brethren, your killie. People use this word killie. Yeah? Your fam.
You're killing me, I swear. I said kill you,
Yeah. I'm just using all these fancy words, yeah? I want you to think about all these people that were your brethren, people that you've grown up from kindergarten, people that you've gone primary school, secondary school with, college with, university with, and think about how much stuff you've exchanged with that person, personal stuff that only you shared because of your bond at the time with that individual, and now you no longer speak to that person. Can you say in your hearts of hearts that person won't put your business on blast? Because I've seen some horrific things, man. You have some very incredibly wicked people, man, I'm telling you. And that's what I say to people, and it's a message I used to post regularly. Be careful what you tell people, and the post gets a lot of likes. People comment because they know a lot of people have been burnt, man.
It's like partners. It's like partners as well, isn't it? I always say, like when you're in a relationship with somebody, you always know that true person the day you decide to cut off the relationship.
My God!
Facts.
You side with that, Shan. What do you think about that statement?
No, I agree with you. I agree. I was going to also just add, though, as well, it's important to remember, I think self-worth is what comes into this as well, knowing and loving and learning the things that are beautiful about you. So just remember when you was at school, there'd be a kid that would pick on you, whether they fancied you or whether they just had issues and just wanted to be a piece of work. And you've grown up and you've looked at this person, you've met up with them or seen them down the shopping market, whatever, and you've looked at this person and you thought, my Lord, if I knew you was going to grow up and be like this or look like that, fair enough, it's kind of judging in a way, but it's also like an enlightenment that, okay, you're not all what you was cracked up to be. So I think you've got to remember that when people are being horrible about you, it's usually, as I say, that what they lack in themselves is what they hate about you. So don't always see it as a negative thing when people are being horrible and making jokes. Don't feel like you have to end your life or that you're not worthy, because no one should make you feel like you should end your life. I used to laughed and joked at because my nose is quite large, and it was a big discussion for a lot of people. It's funny. At the time, I used to care, but now I just I couldn't care less. Does that make me unbeautiful because the size of my nose is a little bit big? No, it doesn't. So I think that it's just about loving and respecting and yourself and just knowing that some people are not worth your time in any category. You know, your life is worth way more than someone's ridiculous comments just because they're unhappy and Genius said earlier, doesn't have nothing going on. Do you know what I mean? So they just got to spend their time trolling.
Hold on, that deserves a...
Yo, what you take this thing for? You're listening to the Triggered Force podcast, blood.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what? You know something, as I said before, accountability. I think when people can accept accountability for their actions as well, and I feel if you know that you've someone, at the end of the day, if you know that you've done wrong and you hold yourself accountable and, you know, you do the right thing and, even some cases you have some people, not many, but some that will even, depending on what they've done, hand themselves in and, you know, face the law, you know, face up to the consequences of their action and are willing to accept the punishment that comes with it.
100%.
You know? And I feel that even such people, when, you know, if they're that way inclined in terms of, you know, willing to suffer the consequences, I believe, you know, if they ask for forgiveness, at the end of the day, it's up to the individual. No one can, it's at the end of the day, it's up to that person if they want to forgive. You know what I mean? No one's forced to. You know what I mean? But if someone has, you know, gone out their way, they've made reparations, they've shown that they're truly sorry, they're remorseful for what they've done. You know, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If they've paid their dues, there's not really much else we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, can I add to it? Also, we're human beings, yeah? And sometimes we do things or we respond to things or we take action based on being caught up in our feelings, innit?
My God!
That's one of the things that we tend to do, innit? That's normal. That's a day that's a normal day, yeah? But it takes a very genuine human being, man or woman, child, whatever, yeah, to, when they've taken a course of action, or whether that's trolling or disrespecting somebody or talking to somebody like shit when they're in their feelings, takes a very genuine, respectable person to, when they recognize, right, you know what, I've done wrong, to be able to hold their hand up and humbly go and approach the person that they've disrespected and have a conversation, take ownership and apologize and make things right.
My God!
Right.
That's respectable, blood. If you can't do that, then you're not a respectable person, mate. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. No, I like that. And yeah, as I said, people, please take that serious, man. Be careful. You know, there's some people, and these might even be your good friends, man. Sometimes even your own friends can be your own worst enemy. They're jealous of you. They're jealous of your relationship. And they're just looking for that opportunity for you to talk about, oh, you're going through an issue with your partner. Oh, yeah, he's no good for you. You know, get rid of him or her. Yeah, you know what I mean? And before you know it, third-party intervention ends up being a destruction to your what would have been, you know, potential long-term relationship. Do not arm people with information on stuff they have no business knowing. Learn, you know, if you're going through a situation between you and your partner, learn to deal with it between yourselves. You know what I mean? Not everything is social media. And this is another thing as well. 30, 40 years ago, you know, when people were going through stuff, there was such thing called privacy. I see some of the stuff that people put online. I'm like, for God's sake, man. Like, why? Like, people don't need to know this.
Yeah.
People putting on, I just started my period today. I've just taken a number 2. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? You know, no, but you laugh.
I want something that was bad at you, though.
too much, man. It's too much. You know what I mean? People are giving birth, and there's a camera. Like, whatever happened to stuff that's not for the internet? Whatever happened to the stuff that's private? That's just between you and the family. Why does the world need to know everything about your personal life? Do you know what I mean? Why? You're sitting in a hospital and you're giving birth, and you know what I mean? You're putting it up on social media. Come on, man. Come on. Because
I think that's an alter ego thing, though. Sometimes there's a lot of people out here that are not very confident and they're not very popular. And I think them doing stuff like that, it gives the impression that they're confident and popular. So they put everything that they do on the internet to kind of create like even if they don't realize they're doing it, it's what's the word? You know, when you're subconsciously doing it, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, like they're just doing it, but they don't realize sometimes that they're doing it to paint a picture. It makes them feel good. But sometimes you can look at it from the outside and be like, this person that I know in real life is not that confident. I don't understand why they're putting up stuff like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
You know them in real life, innit?
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, it's because they if they are popular, some people, it's just one of those things that they like the attention. So, you know.
Yeah. That is, well, yeah.
100%. That's a good point.
Yeah, you like, ooh, this is what's going on with me. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I think people are willing to go to prison in the name of going viral. People are willing to lose their life in the name of going viral. People are willing to do anything for views and likes. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Long gone are the days where people used to help. What they do helping now is filming and putting up on YouTube and social media. That's help now.
You know the saddest thing about it? The saddest thing about it, I remember back in the day, listeners, I don't know if you can relate to this, man, I'm saying, yeah? Back in the day, I remember the first time Big Brother came out, and I remember the whole concept of Big Brother with the cameras in the house and all that. I remember watching that when I was younger thinking, rah, this is mad. And I bet you any money we're going to get to a stage in the future where there's going to be cameras everywhere and we're going to accept it because of that fucking show, blood.
My God!
And I think that's where it started, bruv.
Because I'm not going to lie to you, where was I? I was somewhere with the kids the other day. Where was it? Where was it? Hold on. It was on a weekend. Yeah, that's it. I went to, there's this place in Camden. It's like a little arcade.
Yeah.
And the roller coaster, they go, and I went to the toilet and there's a bloody camera in the toilet, you know.
You joking?
No, cuz I wish I should have friggin' taken a picture of it, man.
In the open, not in the cubicle, in the open bit where the urinals are.
No, when you go inside, that part. Yeah, when you're going through the doors.
Wow.
So yeah, just you can't even friggin' go toilet in peace anymore, man. It's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible.
That's mad. Yeah, that's mad. That's crazy.
But yeah, man. What I would say though is, people talk about what do you do now, as in that in a way forward for someone that's gone through things, someone that's been on the receiving hand of being judged for their past actions, their past sins. And the best thing I would say to those people is, don't do anything that will get you in trouble. If you know that you've truly changed, you're a reformed person, then you do you, live your life. You see what I mean? Sometimes in life we will do things that are unforgivable, and unfortunately we have to live with the consequences of our actions. You see what I mean? Not everyone's going to be forgiven, no matter how small or big the situation is. It is life. There are some people that are adamant they would never forgive. They'll take certain things to their grave. And unfortunately, there's not really much you can really do. If people choose to have you up in their heart, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you, Verbz, I refuse to have anyone up in my head take rent free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have people up in their head, free. They're not even paying rent. Imagine they're taking up space in their own head.
It's true.
You know what I mean? I can't do that, man. I mean, cussing the people in the head and holding on to stuff that happened 10 years ago. Nah, man. Because that person is sleeping while you're in your bed now with insomnia and sleeping issues. You know what I mean? Yeah, people, man, if you know that you're someone that, finds it hard to forgive people. It's just better that you just live your life and do your best to move on, because at the end of the day, you're only doing damage to yourself. When people have done certain things, they'll get their karma. They'll get their, I call it God's appointed time. Leave them, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, each and every one of us, you know, at some point, if we've done certain things, we will have to face up to it at some point, you know what I mean?
100%,
you know?
yeah. Very true.
But, the best advice I say to people is, if you can, man, keep your business to yourself. Keep privacy private. Do you know what I mean? Not everything is for everyone's ears. Don't make unnecessary enemies, because unfortunately, the same people that you take pictures with and videos with and go to events with, it's always the person you least expect ends up being your worst enemy. Not the enemy that you know of, it's the one that secretly envies you, the one that secretly hates on you, and you might even notice some jealous remarks and comments and snide remarks and funny looks, because you know sometimes with these people, they can't hide it, you know.
100%.
They just have to be, you have to be that person that's alert. You have to be that person that's very observant, because you can see things, man.
You can be clouded for a bit because you got faith in that person, so you overlook certain things that they say and do. Do you get me?
Yeah. Facts.
You know, but like you say, at the end of the day, somebody could be standing next to you. They could be a friend that you knock for every day or your phone every day. And sometimes they got different intentions behind the friendship. You know what I mean? Like they look at you, they see you flying, they see you achieving and stuff like that. And even though they're achieving alongside you, you know, they're still jealous of how you've done it, or you know what I'm saying, the way you've done it, or just jealous of even you being you. There's even some people that I've come across in my life, bruv, that actually they move like they want to be you, bruv.
My God!
You know what I'm saying? Like them people there where I don't know if you've ever come across this, creative and genius, people like when you're younger and stuff and you go out and you go and buy an item for yourself, and the person sometimes looks at the item and they say something negative about it. Oh, it's all right, but it's not all that. Or next thing you know, they come with the same item. They come with the same item afterwards, brother. You're thinking, hold on a minute. And literally when you check it out and take a stock, every item that you've bought or whatever, they've bought something very similar. It's like they're trying to be you, blood. You know what I'm saying?
My God!
Fact, man. Fact, I've seen
Also, you've got to remember, though, that it's natural to have all different emotions, but I think that it's the way that you handle it shows more of your character as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Definitely.
It's true.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just a moral person, you know. I just always believe in the concept of treating people how I want to be treated. If I'm going to do something, I'll stop and think, if the person did that to me, would you like it? If they don't, then I won't do it, bruv.
My God!
I like that. I like the verse.
You know what I'm saying? You have to live like that, man, because there's a lot of hypocrites out here, you know, that do a lot of things, you know. And when it comes their way, they're fuming. And we'd be observing from the outside like, blood, how are you fuming, bruv? You do that shit to people all the motherfucking time.
My God!
You get me?
That's how it goes, isn't it?
100%. 100%. You know what I mean? And I just want to say a message for the people, them that's probably gone in prison, you know, or probably just come out of prison, and they've been somewhat tarnished and find it difficult to go into the work industry and stuff because of their criminal past or their recently spent prison sentence. You gotta be realistic with yourself. Life is about realism, man. You gotta say to yourself, you know what, it's gonna be challenging now. I can't just walk out there and go and get a job with everything that I've been through recently. You get me? I can get a job, but the mountain is gonna be 10 times steeper. So I'm gonna have to expect that every time I go to a job interview, I'm probably gonna be told 100 no's before I get told 1 yes. But you know what? I'm willing to go through those 100 no's in order to get to that yes.
My God!
Yeah, I like that.
You get me?
Yeah.
And then, depending on what job you're going for, they probably won't even ask certain information anyway as well. Or you just think about kind of creating your own business or, you know, doing something where you're working for yourself. So the only one that can judge you is you.
My God!
Very well said, very well said. You know what I mean? Anybody wants to add to the topic? Anything you got to say? Anything else creative?
Yeah, I just feel like in life we can't run from judgment. You know, we're going to get judgment from the world. Sometimes we judge ourselves. You know, that's just something, that's just life. But before, it's just more of how you handle it and what you allow to take in. It's just like what we eat, isn't it? There can be fruits on the table, there can be sweets on the table. What you choose to take in is what's going to define your health. And that should go with mental health, your spiritual health, as well as your physical health. So just be more aware of if it's not something, if you've changed and you know you've changed, or you know you're no longer that person, it doesn't matter what someone else thinks of you. Take the good and you leave the bad. You don't allow that into your system. Otherwise, you're going to forever be judging yourself more than they're judging you. You have to accept it. So walk in that, walk in that truth.
100%, man. Good message.
Yeah.
Good message. What about you, Genius? You got anything you want to say?
Nope. I think I touched on everything, man.
Well, that's keeping it blunt, isn't it, mate?
I think it went pretty well, man. I think we did pretty well.
Yeah,
we did better than expected, man. Yeah.
So, listeners, man, we hope you took something out of this episode. Do you know what I mean? Should people be judged by their past actions? You know, we disagree with that unless it's serious. But even then, you know, you still got to give room for forgiveness to some extent, I guess. Do you know what I mean? In order for you to be able to thrive and move on. So, you know, I hope you took messages from this episode. Just want to say thanks for listening. And on that note, I want to say good night from myself, Verbz.
And myself, Geniusdan.
And myself, Creative.
And we'll see you next week on the Triggered Thoughts podcast.
Yo, what you texting for? Listening to the Triggered Force podcast, blood.